Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihar Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihar Gopijana Vallabha Devardhani Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Devardhani Yashodanandana Bhajajanarandana Yashodanandana Bhajajanarandana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihar Jaya Madhava Kunya Bihar. This morning we will discuss another important verse from the prayers of Queen Kunti, first canto, chapter 8, text 29. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Cheva Narottanam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jyamudiyayat. Nastapayasi Abhadrasu Nityam Bhagavata Sevya Bhagavati Uttamasloke Bhakti Bhakti Naistike. Na Vedakashit Bhagavam Shikir Shitam Dave Hamanasyaninam Vidambanam Nayasya Kachit Daitu Stikarichit Tveyasa Yasmin Vishama Matir Nenam. Word for word translation. Na does not Veda know Kashit, anyone, Bhagavan, O Lord, Shikir Shitam, pastimes, Tava, your, Yamanasya, like the worldly man, Nrinam, of the people in general, Vidambanam, misleading, Na, never, Yasya, his, Kachit, anyone, Daita, object of specific favor, Asti, there is, Karichit, anywhere, Tvesya, object of envy, Cha, and Yasmin, unto him, Vishama, partiality, Matihi, conception, Nrinam, of the people. Translation and purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki. O Lord, no one can understand your transcendental pastimes, which appear to be human and so are misleading. You have no specific object of favor, nor do I have any object of envy. People only imagine that you are partial. Purport. The Lord's mercy upon the fallen souls is equally distributed. He has no one as the specific object of hostility. The very conception of the personality of God that as a human being is misleading. His pastimes appear to be exactly like a human being's, but actually they are transcendental and without any tinge of material contamination. He is undoubtedly known as partial to his pure devotees, but in fact he is never partial. As much as the sun is never partial to anyone, by utilizing the sun's rays, sometimes even the stones become valuable. Whereas a blind man cannot see the sun, although there are enough sun rays before him. Darkness and light are two opposite conceptions, but this does not mean that the sun is partial in distributing its rays. The sun rays are open to everyone, but the capacities of the receptacles differ. Foolish people think that devotional service is flattering the Lord to get special mercy. Factually, the pure devotees who are engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord are not a mercantile community. A mercantile house renders service to someone in exchange of values. The pure devotee does not render service unto the Lord for such exchange. And therefore, the full mercy of the Lord is open for him. Suffering man, needy man, inquisitive persons, or philosophers make temporary connections with the Lord to serve a particular purpose. When the purpose is served, there is no more relationship with the Lord. A suffering man, if he is wise at all, prays to the Lord for his recovery. But as soon as the recovery is over, in most cases, the suffering man no longer cares to keep any connection with the Lord. The mercy of the Lord is open for him, but is reluctant to receive it. That is the difference between a pure devotee and a mixed devotee. Those who are completely against the service of the Lord are considered to be in abject darkness. Those who ask for the Lord's favor only at the time of necessity are partial recipients of the mercy of the Lord, and those who are 100% engaged in the service of the Lord are full recipients of the mercy of the Lord. Such partiality in receiving the Lord's mercy is relative to the recipient, and it is not due to the partiality of the all-merciful Lord. When the Lord descends to this material world by his all-merciful energy, he plays like a human being, and therefore it appears to the Lord that the Lord is partial to his devotees only. But that is not a fact. Despite such apparent manifestation of partiality, his mercy is equally distributed. In the Battle of Kurukshetra, all persons who died in the fight before the presence of the Lord got salvation without the necessary qualification, because death before the presence of the Lord purifies the passing soul from the effects of all sins, and therefore the dying man gets a place somewhere in the transcendental abode somehow or other. If someone puts himself open into the sun rays, he's sure to get the requisite benefit both by heat and by ultraviolet rays. Therefore, the conclusion is that the Lord is never partial. It is wrong for the people in general to think him as partial. I read the verse again. Naveda kapshit bhagavan sikir shitam taveham manasyaninam vidambanam nayasya kachit taito stikarichit devyasat jasmin vishama matirnam. O Lord, no one can understand your transcendental pastimes which appear to be human and are so misleading. You have no specific object of favor, nor do you have any object of envy. People only imagine that you are partial. Om Akyanatimandasyat Janam Salasnakam Saksham Militam Yena Tasmai Sigurave Namah Chitchetayamanopistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swamrapakadamyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shiru Shiyuda Padakamalam Shigam Vaishnavam Sha Shirupam Jagajatam Saganaragnatam Vitam Tam Sajivan Sadvaitam Savrutam Pajana Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sakanalita Shivishakam Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jatpate Gopesha Goprakanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gawangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sudadeve Panamama Hari Priye Pancha Kalptra Visha Kripasin Vaivasa Patnam Pavanvyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasad Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Charu Swamiti Namini Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pacharini Nirvisis Sunyavadi Paskachari Tasatani. So here Queen Kunti is addressing the point that some see you as being envious of others and impartial. That and because you appear to be just a human being, but that's misleading. You play the part of a human being, and it appears that your dealings are partial, but that is misleading. It's not a fact. Because Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, at the end of the 9th chapter, Samam Sarva Bhuteshu Namidveshu Stina Prayaha Yeba Chanta Tumam Bhaktya Maitateshu Sapyaham. Krishna says, I envy no one, and I'm not partial to anyone, but to my devotees who render service, I reciprocate, because they are rendering service in devotion. I'm a friend to him, and they are my friend, I'm their friend. That's reciprocation. So this brings up the point, God is all good, and everything he does is all good. So also in devotional service, if we perform service with devotion, all is good. And whatever happens in your life, good or bad, is a mercy of the Lord. Difficult to understand for many. That like Krishna killed Bhutan, but Bhutan, although she wanted to kill Krishna, Krishna took the good side, the service side, her motherly affection. And so she was elevated to the position of a mother, a nurse in the spiritual world. So Krishna accepts the service part, not the other intentions. So a little service to Krishna will save one from the greatest danger. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is equal, like the sun is distributing equally, but we are not able to receive it equally because of clouds, fog, and so on. So Krishna plays like an ordinary human being, but all these activities are transcendental. Krishna from childhood, he kills asuras, but his killing and our killing is not the same. We cannot imitate Krishna. We must follow Krishna's instructions in Bhagavad Gita, but not imitate his Rasa Lila, then we go to hell. Maharaj Pariksit inquired, Krishna comes to establish religious principles, but then why is he performing this rasa dance? Maharaj Pariksit, why is Krishna performing this rasa dance? Performing with others' wives. No man or woman can mix intimate, except your wife. All other women should be seen as a mother, Sanakya Pandit says. He says two things. One who sees all women except his wife as mother. So one who sees others' money as garbage in the street. Why should we consider others' money as garbage in the street? And then he says, one who sees everyone, even an ant as himself. So I feel pain, so why should I give pain to an ant? So this is this. So Krishna is all good, but also his pure devotees are all good. Like Prahlad Maharaj, he feels his paradukha dukhi. He's feeling the pain of others. So that's the Vaishnava's business. That is our business. A Vaishnava can understand what I was previously and what I'm now. So why should these people suffer without Krishna consciousness? So Prahlad Maharaj is preaching. That's the most elevated devotee, but a Kanishta, a beginner, is doing temple worship, showing the deity, receive donations, and then fill the belly. That is most condemned. One should work to get money. But the Madhyamadikar feels for others, that he tries to develop love for Krishna, makes friendship with devotees, and preaches to the innocents, but he avoids atheists. So Vaishnava feels for others. Those who have forgotten Krishna, they are rotting under the influence of this Maya. So, yeah, Naivotviche Pradrachaya Vaitaranyas. So this is the first line of a verse that Prahlad speaks. He says, I'm concerned with those who try to enjoy Maya and try to get happiness from it. So yes, Prahlad Maharaj says, I understand. Prahlad Maharaj is saying indirectly, I understand the value of chanting and sadhana, but I'm also concerned with the rascals who are after Maya Sukha, who try to enjoy this Maya, this illusory energy. They are going for the temporary material enjoyment. They have forgotten Krishna. So people are misusing their human form for sense gratification. That they should be delivered from Maya, but so that is the mission of Lord Chaitanya. And for giving the example, Lord Chaitanya took sannyas and preached. He demonstrated why Krishna comes. So Lord Krishna takes the form of a human. But his absolute, his killing is as good as Krishna's saving. He has no partiality. So this is material. This is the material relative world. So to go to the spiritual world, we have to go to beyond this duality of good and bad. How to become, or how to go beyond this duality? It's simply by the devotional service. Mamsyo vyapicharina bhakti yogana sevate. By devotion, by pure devotional service, one immediately transcends the modes of nature. So people think God is an ordinary person, that a person who is envious, who likes some and dislikes others. An envious nature, one who is of an envious nature, practically, such a person wants to harm others. So they think God is envious. He puts people, throws people into hell for eternity, eternal condemnation. Therefore, they blame God. So devotees can also go into that mode. Yeah, I'm not Krishna consciousness because Krishna is not merciful to me. But that's not a fact. Krishna is not partial. Krishna gives the best to everyone at all time. But those who are in competition, they want to be first. They want to become Krishna. So in this purport, Srila Prabhupada speaks about the degrees of getting Krishna's mercy. In 3 different levels of receptivity. So the first level is the atheist. They say, God, there is no God. I'm this body, and they do not get mercy of the Lord because they don't want it. They do not want to hear about Krishna. They are not receptive. Therefore, they are blocking it. We can say, okay, that's the atheist. But also devotees who commit offenses. We commit these 10 offenses against the holy name. That is the commitment. When we commit these offenses, that's blocking the mercy of the Lord. It is this first I say, even if you chant life after life after life, the holy name, but you continue to commit these offenses, the mercy will not come. Then there are the mercantile devotees, mercantile, yeah. So you go to the doctor. Why do you go to the doctor? You have a problem, you have a disease, right? That when the doctor is no good, you leave him for another. That I don't get what I want, so then I'm going. That Mother Kalangana, she was a senior Polish devotee at the Bhaktivedanta Manor. She made this beautiful Mangala Arti sweets painted, very nice. But once she was in London and came another lady, she asked the way to go for a certain place in London and said, oh, we are going in the same direction, you come with us. Then she started to preach to her. And her answer was, yeah, so God, I don't have any problem in my life. Why should I go to God? No need for God. Everything is fine. So this is this mentality. I'm here to get something. Give me something I do not have. Or help me to get rid of something what causes me suffering. Or satisfy my intellectual curiosity. Or give me liberation. Or satisfy my curiosity. So even if one strives for liberation and one gets liberation, it's still a partial realization. It's not getting the real mercy of the Lord. That's different. But the real benediction is an exchange of love. So that is the only thing that can satisfy the self. That is what we all want, is love. That our life is empty without relationships. That relationships give us the ongoing happiness. So this is the real mercy. Krishna gives us his love, but we don't want to accept it. Also, the devotees act out of love for Krishna, but also for all the living entities. So developing that loving care is very important. Our spiritual master Bhakti Charamaj was a master in taking care of devotees. And since he is the representative of Krishna, he's taking care, is a reciprocation of Krishna's love. And it's our duty to give that love to others, to take care of others. and to preach to the innocent, but also to take care very nicely of devotees. Because that pleases Krishna. That Krishna says to in Adi Purana to Arjuna, one who says that is my devotee is not my devotee, but one who is a devotee of my devotee is my real devotee. So therefore the spiritual master sees himself as a servant of his disciples. And in the other way also, it's a reciprocation of love, a relationship of love between the disciple and the spiritual master. But also we have to develop that relationship, a loving relationship with all devotees. It's not an easy task, but we can do only our best to give us devotees that. So this point of the impartiality is described in the 7th canto. The first 10 chapters of the 7th canto is a story that Narada Muni tells to Yudhishthira Maharaj to show Krishna is impartial. That because the issue comes up that yes, that Krishna gave liberation to Sisupal, and Sisupal was blaspheming him. That he went over the mark of 100 times blaspheming Krishna, and Krishna killed him with Shakha, but he got liberation. That so how is this possible? That we have also the example of Bhutan, who tries to kill him, and he gives her a high position in the spiritual world, but it's a reciprocation. It depends also on our desire. Because in previous life, Bhutan was the wife of Bali Maharaj. And when Lord Vamandev took 2 steps, and he took everything away from Bali Maharaj. Then the wife of Bali Maharaj had 2 kinds of feeling. The first feeling was when Vamandev appeared, he was such a beautiful young boy, dressed as a brahmachari, that and she was feeling motherly love for him. But then when Vamandev took these 2 steps and took everything away from Bali Maharaj, then she wanted to kill him. So you have these 2 sentiments. But Krishna took only the good part, the service part, her motherly affection, the love. And that brought her back to the spiritual world. So the real benediction is an exchange of love. That's the purpose of devotional service, to live in a relationship with Krishna, who is in our heart. That living in a relationship with Krishna. That we can pray to Krishna every moment, he's in our heart. If we have difficulties, we pray to Krishna, we take shelter of Krishna. When Srila Prabhupada was praying before the deities, he prayed to this deities, please do not let me fall down. And the devotee asked Srila Prabhupada why he was what he was praying, and he told, yeah, I prayed that to Krishna to not let me fall down. And Prabhupada said, I'm not falling down because I'm always praying like that. So every moment we can have contact with Krishna in our heart, and we can speak to him in our heart, to our mind. This contact, that's Krishna consciousness, living in a relationship with Krishna. But due to our attachment and aversion to things in this world, our mind goes to something else and get entangled in the duality of illusory affairs in this world. This is a stupid thing because we are very temporary here. Soon we will have to leave. We are getting out of the door. So these are important lessons to learn. Realizing that is not easy. That will how to realize that we have to study the Bhagavatam and become situated in this Sambandha Jnana, knowledge of our relationship with Krishna, that we can only attain through purification of the heart and performing pure devotional service. Okay, any questions, comments?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you for the class and giving your time and association. I have two questions. One, if we have time. So the first one, you were talking about how we can take almost for granted a relationship with Krishna, and we can pray for him in different times of difficulty, but then once we overcome our suffering, we might not have that same mood of, or that same inclination to reach out and establish relationship with him. This is stated in the purport also. So I'm curious because, we see from Queen Kunti in our own experience that it does make it easier when we go through times of distress to pray more sincerely and more intensely to Krishna, but it is a little bit more difficult when things seem to be going nice and smooth. So how can we maintain that intense mood and desire of prayer, even when things are going nice and smooth? What are some of your advice?
Yeah, that we are only praying to Krishna when things are going wrong or we have problems. That means that we are absorbed in the illusory energy, because for the spirit soul, we have really nothing to do with this material world. But we feel connected through the misidentification with the body. How to get out of this illusion? I just said we are on the verge of getting out of this body. It may take a few years, it may take another 50 years, but it will end soon. Time is flying. So everything you are attached to in this world will be finished in one moment. So why are we attached to it? It's childish. We should be attached to the real thing. Real means what is eternal. And our relationship is eternal with Krishna. We are the consciousness. The consciousness, now we are so-called awake, but it's a state of illusion in which we are identifying with the mind. That you sleep, you come in a crazy world created by the mind. And the gross body we are not aware of it. We get other bodies in the dream. And then in deep sleep, we are going in, the consciousness remains into the soul. In the soul. And then we feel peace. But in the soul is also Krishna. If you are Krishna consciousness, even in deep sleep, you live in a relationship with Krishna. That because these are all coverings. It's just illusion. That thinking, yes, this is so important. All these things in this world, our career, our family, everything you are attached to. But that has nothing to do with us. So out of this illusion, we pray to Krishna. Please solve my illusion, my disease, and so on, that I have a nice body, which will fall down anyway in a few years. We are praying for this illusion. That, but how to get off this illusion? We have to hear the Bhagavatam every day. If you hear the Bhagavatam, and Krishna will help you. If you are still attached, Krishna will give you so much frustration that you give it up. That's His mercy. It's always Krishna's mercy. But it's a process of getting liberated from this illusion. And therefore, we have to take shelter of a spiritual master who is out of this illusion and who will guide us. That he will guide us to get out of it. That anyway, this is an important point. That the first thing we have to consider is we are in illusion. That if we contact Krishna, not to love him, to give us our service, but we ask something for us, a problem to solve, that's illusion. We must want the real thing, love for Krishna. That will bring us beyond this body and bring us back to our original position. We should become like Vritrasura. Vritrasura was inside, he was a pure devotee. Outside, he was a demon. And then you have Indra, who is outside a demigod. Good. Inside is a Sakam Bhakta. He is in this illusion. He wants things in this material world to enjoy. He's factually in illusion. That and what did Vritrasura say? Yes, please kill me. Then because when you kill me, I'm going back to the spiritual world. I want to be reinstated in my constitutional position in the spiritual world as a spirit soul. The spirit soul is a form. We don't need this gross and subtle body to exist. He wanted to go back to the spiritual world. That therefore, he said, death is welcome. They asked the same question to one of the billionaires on this globe, an American billionaire. I'm not going to mention his name, but they asked him, what do you think about death? He said, death is welcome. But why is he saying that? Death is welcome because out of frustration. He has so many problems to deal with. Then the problems are gone. He can die. Finally, peace. No, we should come out of illusion and become like Vritrasura. That it doesn't mean anything what people think about us. that honor, dishonor, it's all nothing worth. That people may be successful in this life, but then they die. That's the result of their success. It's all for nothing. Krishna says, one who lives for the satisfaction of the senses lives for nothing. So it's a gradual process of becoming aware. And Dat is Vaidhi Sarna Bhakti. We must hear, then remember, contemplate on how to advance spiritually, how to advance in loving Krishna. Good. Does that help?
Hare Krishna. Yes, thank you so much. I understood it's a lot of our own illusion and our attachments to material, name, fame, activities, just anything in the material realm. But I am curious, how can we see if our attachments are spiritual? Because I remember you also mentioned to me that attachments to like devotees is really helpful, like to a pure devotee is really helpful. So how can we see if our attachment is material or spiritual?
Yeah, you have, of course, Prashangam Ashram Pasam, Kavyo, yeah, Prashangam Ashram Pasam, Saiva Sadsukatim Mokshat Param Anavitam, yeah. Prashangam Ashram Pasam, Kavyo, yeah. I missed the second line, but it means attachment to material things, Lord Kapiladev says, is the cause of our entanglement in this world. But the same attachment transferred to the sadhu, to the following of the instruction of the spiritual master, that brings us to liberation. So the first thing in our lives, what we should do is, I'm going to do something. Is this going to please my spiritual master? Is this going to please Srila Prabhupada? If the answer is no, your attachment is a material. If the answer is yes, it is spiritual. That's in just in a nutshell.
Okay, yeah, that's very helpful, very practical.
Yeah.
I did have one other question if you have some time.
Yeah.
Sure. So you were mentioning this analogy of how Krishna is impartial, and the analogy of the sun rays is just freely, it's not partial to anyone, it's just giving it sun rays. And then you mentioned part of the analogy was that some of the blocks are the clouds that keep us from seeing the sunshine. This seems like an external block, but you mentioned more of an internal block that keeps us from the Lord's mercy is committing offenses to the holy name. And so I'm curious, one, how can we tell if we are committing offenses to the holy name? Because we might be chanting, but how do we know if we're committing? Because we might not be aware. We might be subconsciously making offenses, and we aren't. If some of us are in illusion, so we might not even know if we're making an offense. So how can we tell? Yeah.
That is very simple. That if you chant and you don't feel taste for chanting, you are committing offenses. That if the offenses are going, your taste increases. So that is the test. So the conclusion is we make all offenses. That's more than the conclusion. But anyway, we have to come over it. But we have to pray for the mercy of the Lord and try to follow Prabhupada's instructions. And surely they will cease that if we are sincere.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Are there any other blocks like this? Is it mostly it boils down to committing offenses to the holy name that blocks us from the mercy, right?
That's explained in Harinam Chintamani, that if the offenses start to cease, we come in Namabhas, the second stage of the chanting, called the clearing stage. The first is the aparat stage. We must come from the aparat stage to the clearing stage, from aparat to Namabhas. That to go from one to another, we must give up these offenses, our offensive mentality. That and adopt a mentality which is favorable for favorable for advancing in devotional service. And that is explained by Lord Chaitanya, that mentality in verse 3 and 4 of Shikshastikam. So one must be tolerant, one must be humble, give all honor to others, do not ask honor for oneself. One should not want followers or no strive for wealth of material success or relationship with the opposite sex. No, one should just try to serve Krishna, birth after birth, out of love, without asking something in return. So that is a mentality we need to develop, and that the mentality will develop by hearing Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita daily. We develop that mentality, which is favorable. And that will help us to overcome apparat and burn away these anarthas. It's a process. And Srila Prabhupada explains in a purport of Bhagavad Gita, writes the slow process of devotional service. It's not going very quickly, but it works. We have just to be utsanisiyadayat, be enthusiastic, endeavoring with confidence, be patient. So that's in a nutshell how to come to anartha nivritti and purify the heart. Does that help?
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Maharaj. Really appreciate your time.
Good, thank you very much. And I'm looking forward to see you next week. Same time, if Krishna willing. Good. Jai Prabhupada. Jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. His Holiness Bhakti Prabhupada Maharaj ki jai.
The Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Bol.
Sorry, Purna Chandra Prabhu, if you had questions. You usually have questions.
No,